ultimately, there's tools that you can use to do all of your banking from your office without really having to go to the bank. And we kind of like to say, if you want to go to the bank to have a cup of coffee and go say hi to Janice, that's great. But we want to give you the tools to be able to run all of your business from the convenience of your office.
Good day. I'm Janice Spooner, your host for this podcast, Banking on Success Together. Today, we have a very special guest and my team member, Tom Bubb, with our Treasury Management team. I will introduce him in just a few minutes. But as we always discuss in this podcast, the environment of finances, the economy, both local, DFW, state, and national, it's important for me today to stop with the recent storms and devastation that we've experienced and just really ask each of you listening and watching this podcast to reach out to our local DFW area cities where you've seen such tragedy. People have lost everything, and find a way to support them. You can reach out to each fire and police chief to seek where you can drop off donations. There are specific needs, so please review those lists. You can also look on our local news stations, 4, 5, 8, and 11, and look at their list and the way that they're guiding each of us to be able to support our neighbors. They so desperately need it. And finally, you can always reach out to the American Red Cross. They already have one location set up to help, and more are coming. But so many of our surrounding cities have experienced devastation that it's important to know where to help and how to help. So if you want to use our bank location here in Southlake to drop off supplies such as diapers, potentially tarps to cover holes in roofs while they're waiting on insurance, and or pet food, please drop those off at our location here in Southlake at Great Plains Bank, and we will drop those off for you in our neighboring cities. Different needs depending on which city has the worst or most need, we will seek and reach out and drop those off for you. So please do that. But as we're also talking about the most recent storms, please keep in mind for your own family, for your own business, to have a plan, a disaster recovery plan. Have a place to put your very important documents, such as a safe deposit box. Come see us at Great Plains Bank. We'll help you take care of that. Limited supplies, but first come, first serve. We'll help you take care of that. But also have a plan for after. Do this ahead of time, where you're going to meet as a family if you get separated in the storm. Have a number, a neighbor or a family member be your contact person so that the police or otherwise can reach out on your behalf. Sometimes you're not going to have cell service or otherwise, so it's important to have these plans ahead of time. How to exit your building, your employees, prepare that, practice that, go over it, and hopefully that all of this preparedness will then save your family, save your employees, the lives. Everything else can be replaced, but those things can't. And unfortunately, we've had loss of life in the recent storms. So please be in prayer for those people who have lost so much, but reach out and let us help you if you need help and assistance in finding a place to donate. But those resources are available to you. So stop today and take action for that. Now, as we move into our regular schedule of information, I do want to share with you a snippet of what's going on with the Fed. We've talked about that every single podcast as we all wait to hear what's happening. And so let me just share this with you real quickly. The U.S. economy continues to defy both calls for a slowdown and suggestions that a recession is on the horizon, as a resilient job market and solid consumer spending continue to power stronger than expected growth prospects. The surprising strength, however, has deepened concerns that the Federal Reserve, which is focused on the very stubborn inflation pressures, will delay a move to lower borrowing costs over the coming months and actually could scrap rate cuts in 2024 altogether and push those into 25. So be prepared, as we've talked about before. Plan early on that. Talk to your bank. Be proactive in reaching out to them, especially if you have deposits or loans, so that we, as your bank at Great Plains Bank, can help you prepare for the future. As it pertains to mortgage rates, I don't have great news on that yet either. It is looking like the rates may stay flat to go up, but historically speaking, the average rate over the last 35-ish years is about 6%. So still a good rate. I know a lot of people are not touching their first lien rates because they're in the 2s or the 3% range. So remember, we talked about in our very first podcast, we have products to help you with home improvement, with a HELOC for Texas. So reach out for us and talk to one of my experienced mortgage professionals just to get a consultation on what that looks like for you. Because as you heard in my last podcast, it is never a bad time to buy real estate here in DFW. But you have to be smart. That's the key. You have to be smart and understanding that insurance alone, i.e. these storms, they're increasing insurance over 40% in cost to each of us over the last few years. So reach out to my team, let them go over that with you so you understand what that cost looks like for you and be prepared to buy your next home, refinance, do a home improvement, but take action. It's never a bad time to buy real estate. As we move into our prime segment for the show, it's really going to help small businesses. It's going to help small businesses with savings, with efficiency in their workforce, with being able to pay bills, do everything digital if you want to, but also you need to remember that this can help grow your capital. So I'm very excited that I have with me Tom Bubb. He is our Treasury SVP at Great Plains Bank, our Treasury Management team member that we work together. And he's been able to help some customers of mine, and I know he can help you too. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Janice. It's great to be here.
Well, Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself personally and your career in Treasury Management.
Okay, absolutely. So I have a wonderful family of 3 children who are all grown now. So I'm experiencing that part of life where we're first-time empty nesters, which is a new experience for us. So we're having to figure out what we want to do without the children. But it's kind of a fun thing because they're still involved in our lives a lot. So we get to see them, but we get a chance to go do some things like vacations where maybe we wouldn't have been able to go to before. So it's been nice. But I've been in banking my entire life since I was in high school. I gravitated towards the operations side of banking for quite some time. And probably about 20 years ago, I really found my passion in Treasury. And that has been something that I have been very much focused on ever since. I love the fact of how much it can help a business. And I know we'll talk about a few of those things too, but it's a great mix of utilizing technology and the financial tools that a bank has to offer to make a business run more effectively, more efficiently. And then, ultimately there's tools that you can use to do all of your banking from your office without really having to go to the bank. And we kind of like to say, if you want to go to the bank to have a cup of coffee and go say hi to Janice, that's great. But we want to give you the tools to be able to run all of your business from the convenience of your office.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. Let's dive into these different tools, as we call them, to really help the small business community understand what's available to them, but also how we can help them. So if you don't mind, let's talk about ACH origination. What is that and how can we help?
Absolutely. So ACH is an electronic form of payment. It's probably one of the most widely used forms of payments. A lot of people don't think about it, but if you get a direct deposit for your payroll, that is using an ACH credit to your account. And so we can set our customers up to where they can do that too. They can send an ACH credit to their employees or to vendors, to other businesses if they need to send different payments via ACH. It's a very inexpensive way to move money electronically. But another nice thing about ACH is you can also send an ACH debit. So we have a lot of customers that might have, like a gym that might have multiple members, and they want to debit those customers automatically each month for their gym membership. Well, they can use our system to schedule ACH payments for each individual to come out on a certain time of the month to collect their membership dues. And so that's one example. There's other examples of sending ACH debits as well, but the nice thing about ACH, it's very inexpensive to use, and you can send it both ways. You can send a credit or you can send a debit. And in both cases, you want to go ahead and get permission from the end user. And we do have some forms to help you with that, especially if you're going to debit their account, because you want to make sure you have authorization to debit their account. But that's exactly what our team does. We help you through the whole process, turn the tools on for you, and help you show you how to use them.
And that really would save a small business personnel expense, because you have collections already set up where you're not having to call and track down those payments, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. They can schedule those on a routine. So if you have a new member that you want to set up a payment for, you can schedule it to happen on the same day of the month every month, set it, and it's done. You don't have to think about it anymore. And it really does help those customers not have to go in and do something every single day.
Let's talk about wire transfers.
Sure. Absolutely.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So some people are familiar with wires, but wire is a way for you to send collected funds anywhere in the world, and it's an irrevocable payment. So a lot of customers like to have that. Like if you're going to close on your house, they don't want to have a check. They want to have a wire, because once that money is sent, it's guaranteed funds. So if you don't have those funds in your account, you can't send it out. So they know that. And so if you have a closing and you need to close on your house and they need to send a payment, a wire transfer is a great way to do that. It's also a good way to send money for different reasons for different businesses. So if you have large invoices that you want to pay, some people send wires for that reason as well. It's also very immediate. It's very quick. You're going to get a same day service on it, as long as you meet the deadlines to get that out within the right time frame. But a lot of customers will send a wire for some large payments. It's a little bit more expensive, so it's not as used as often for smaller dollar payments. But it is a great tool, and a lot of people use it for a lot of different reasons. Plus, you can send an international wire as well. And so if you have companies that need to send funds to, another country, they can do that.
Wonderful. One of our solutions, I'm going to guess most people don't know about, and that's the lockbox solution.
Right.
So please explain that a little bit, please.
Absolutely. Probably best to give you an example of a lockbox and how it's really helpful. Say you have a doctor's office and they send out many, many invoices every day for all the patients that come in. There's invoices that they send out. Well, that means they're also receiving a lot of payments. And some offices have all those payments coming to the physical office, and they have someone at their office opening up all those envelopes, making a deposit, trying to credit to their accounts receivable. And that takes a lot of personnel, and sometimes those personnel are needed for a lot of other things. So a lockbox allows you to completely outsource the collection of those payments. So they go to a dedicated PO box. They are managed and opened. All the payments are opened and processed and credited to your account automatically. And so you don't have anybody at your office that has to touch those payments. And then the nice thing about that is too, all of the images of those checks and the details of those checks can be given to you in a file that you can import into your systems. Some customers get even a little bit more sophisticated, and if they have a invoice that they send out, there's some data on that invoice that they need for their accounts payable system. And when you set up a lockbox, you can identify those fields, like either on a coupon or an explanation of benefits. Anything that comes with that payment, you can identify the fields that you want to capture. And when those envelopes are opened and those images are captured of all the documents in there, they pick off that information too, and they provide it to you in a file. So whatever's important to that customer, if they want it electronically, we can get it for them.
That's incredible. A
Yes.
huge savings of time and energy of staff that can sometimes just be overworked, wearing too many hats. So this is a true solution to help those physicians or other manufacturing, other types that have accounts receivable,
That's true.
invoices coming in to help them grow that. And the deposits are automatically done for them, so they don't have to make a special trip to the bank either.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Yeah, it's a great tool.
Wonderful. Well, Tom, having the ability to give solutions, and we've only named a few so far, but let's keep going. In a previous podcast that I had, I went really deep into cybersecurity, fraud. I know that is one thing that you and I as bankers, are really focused on helping prevent that fraud. So let's talk about positive pay.
Okay, absolutely. So you were right on point as far as there is a lot of fraud that happens. And unfortunately, a lot of companies don't think about it until it's too late and it happens to them. But we see it enough to where it's not necessarily a matter of if it's going to happen to a company, it's just when. And so the more tools that they can implement to prevent fraud or reduce their risk of fraud, the better. And positive pay is a great example of something that we do offer that really helps our customers. If they write paper checks, which a lot of businesses still write a ton of paper checks, that area of the payment system is something that we see so much fraud in right now because there's so much high quality printers out there. People can, if they get a hold of your account number and routing number or a copy of your check, a lot of times they can print that check or reissue that check with a different name on it. And so positive pay is a great way for them to prevent that, because what happens, and it's probably best to explain how it works, but a customer, if you wrote a dozen checks today, we would have you import that information into our online banking platform, or you could key it in one at a time if you want to. But a lot of customers just export a file from QuickBooks or whatever accounting software they use, and they pull it into our bank. And so from now on, we know that these checks were written today's date, the routing number, account number, who it was made payable to, and the amount. So when those checks come in and all the checks that try to clear that account, we're going to match it up with that issued items file. If there's a 100% match, we go ahead and pay that check. The customer doesn't have to do anything. But if there's anything that's wrong, if the name's wrong, if the amount's wrong, or any of the details, check number, if any of that is wrong, we kick it out as an exception, and we let our customer take a look at it and decide if they want to pay it or not. So the reason that we give them that choice is sometimes they make a mistake and maybe they didn't import the information in or keyed it in wrong, but they get that opportunity to take a look to say, is that a valid check or is it fraudulent? If it's fraudulent, they have the opportunity to return it and they don't take a loss on it because they've returned it within the right amount of time. And that's important too, because businesses don't have very much time at all to return a check. And so that's one way that we can use positive pay. Another way is if they have ACH transactions coming in. Every ACH transaction has a company ID that identifies who is sending that payment. So for instance, if you have your electric bill debited from your account, on the banking side, we see that that came from the electric company. And so for our businesses, we let them go in, and once that payment clears the first time, it kicks out to say, do you want to allow this electronic payment? And you could set up a rule to say, yes, I want to allow this from now on. And you can even set some parameters in there of how much. So say you want that electric bill to come in, maybe it's for your business's electricity, and it's $1,200 a month, but it's never going to be over $1,800. You can put some parameters in there so that anytime that debit comes through from that company, it'll allow it unless it passes that threshold, and then it kicks it out for you to review again. So both are great ways for customers to reduce their risk of fraud. And that's just a service that we use, and we highly recommend people use it. And we'd be glad to help get that set up for customers that are interested.
And for those small businesses that are watching this, I want to give them reassurance that they don't have to be sitting in front of their computers to be able to process this and approve this at the restricted timeline or time frame. They can do it on their mobile app, right?
That's right. They can make those decisions on their mobile app. And so if there is an item that comes in, a lot of times what we ask them to do too is set up an alert. You don't have to look at it every day, but if there is an exception item out there, then you want to be able to be alerted of it. And then you have some time to go look at it, and you can do it straight from your mobile phone.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right, we're going to speed up just a little bit, but this is a very important solution, payroll and HR solutions. Give us some highlights on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we partner with a payroll vendor that allows a customer to completely outsource their payroll. So some customers like to do their own payroll in-house, but a lot of times they don't have the staff or the capacity, or they start growing and they really need somebody to help them with the time and attendance. There's a lot of different time and attendance solutions out there. People can clock in from their phone. Companies can set up like a geo-fencing so that if you have employees that travel to different sites, maybe they go to a different town to clock in at an oil rig or something like that. If you set up the geo-fencing, they can't necessarily clock in until they get there because it knows their GPS location. So that time and attendance is a nice piece of it. Also, they completely take care of the tax payments and the liability. So they collect all the payroll amounts, disperse them to your employees, but they also collect all the payroll taxes. And then they're responsible for making sure tax payments are paid on time and they're correct. And they help you make sure you stay in compliance with all that. So there's a lot of other solutions that come with that too. The HR piece of it, they have some HR professionals on staff to help companies that maybe they don't have their own HR department. You have, somebody needs to write a handbook. How do you do that? Well, they help you with that. Or maybe you have conflicts with 2 employees and you're not exactly sure how to handle that legally. You can reach out and partner with them on the HR side as well.
Fantastic. And way more on that, but we will have that for another conversation another time.
Right.
One thing that I do want to talk about quickly is our remote deposit capture. We call it RDC,
Right.
but for our customers who receive paychecks, or not paychecks, but checks for payment, then we would just set them up through the remote deposit capture machine. They could run those through. The credits would go right into their bank account, right?
That's right. Yeah. We have a small piece of hardware that we put in their office, and they can run all of their checks through it, make deposits straight from their desk. They don't have to go to the bank at all. There's a lot of ancillary benefits of that. Number one, you don't have employees leaving your office to go to the bank to make a deposit. There's a lot of security things that are involved with that too. If they're carrying money, sometimes people don't necessarily know is that cash or check, so you don't want them to have any kind of security issues. But then also they're driving on company time. What if they have an accident? So this remote deposit's a great feature. It has a lot of benefits, a lot of reporting tools. We've had customers that they may have made a deposit ticket and dropped it off the bank, but they didn't necessarily make copies of all the checks that went with it, and that could be 25 checks. Well, if you scan them through our remote deposit capture, you get digital images of all of it, and you get to search it at any time. So it's just a fantastic tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our last 2 items that we're going to talk about today, let's talk about business credit cards.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Tell us all about it.
That's a great product. Expense management's a big thing for a lot of companies, and they don't necessarily want to give an employee a debit card because a lot of times that requires them to put that employee on their checking account. They don't necessarily want to do that, but they want to be able to give that employee a way to spend money on business expenses. And so getting a corporate credit card is a fantastic way of doing that. So let's just give you an example. Say a company has 25 employees, and 10 of those people probably have reasonable company expenses. So they could issue 10 credit cards, and the main person for that company could manage those credit cards online. So they say they give you a credit card and you got a $2,500 limit. They give me a credit card. They don't trust me that much. So maybe they give me $500, but then at some point they need to change those limits. They can do that online. They don't have to call anybody. Say there's turnover or new people that get hired. They can add cards or delete cards at any time. And the nice thing about it is they can roll it up all into one paper statement. So they pay one payment. Or if they want to keep things separate on the accounting side, they can have each individual card holder have their own statement. And then they can do the same things. If the card is one of those that generates rewards, they can leave those rewards with each card holder, and they can all cash in those rewards on their own for merchandise or things that they might want, or they can roll it up to the company level. Our bank uses that exact same product, and we roll those rewards up to the company level, and we cash them in every quarter, and then we donate those proceeds to a charity. So it's something that every company can do it differently. But it's a great program for companies that have expenses. Another thing that's really, really nice about the corporate credit card program is you can restrict cards based on a merchant category code. So say you have some people that are just driving and they need gas, you can restrict their cards to be only used at merchants that have that kind of a category, and they can't use it somewhere else that doesn't fit what your spending criteria would be.
Fantastic.
So it's a great product.
All right. And finally, merchant credit card services.
Okay, so merchant credit card services is one of those things a lot of people don't think about, but almost every business that I know that's successful has to have the ability to accept a Visa, MasterCard, Discover payment, right? So you want your customers to pay you, and many times it's going to be in the form of a credit card or a debit card that's Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. Well, our merchant credit card services allows us to get a company enabled to do that. So if you're either setting up a new business or you're wanting to add those kinds of services, we are able to help set you up for that. And the nice thing about that is there's so many different ways to accept credit cards like that. It could be a little handheld machine, like a restaurant might need a server to have one that they walk around with. Well, that kind of equipment's available. Could be a little brick that they have on the counter right next to the cash register. Those are also available. And then it might be a coffee shop. They want the little fancy one where they turn it around and you sign it with your finger. Those are all available. So it's just one of those services that almost every business needs. And even if you have that type of service already, it's always a good idea to compare your pricing. So let us come in, take a look at the pricing you have, make sure that you're getting a good rate, because there's a lot of variances in how much people charge for those types of cards. So it's always good to have a double check and a second opinion.
Tom, these are all fantastic, and thank you for taking the time to share. We could go and talk so much longer about all these opportunities, but that's where we get to invite our community to give us a call and discuss those things. So share with them your contact information and or your team, however you would like our customers and our fellow community members to reach out.
Absolutely. So we have a team here that manages our South Lake area, and you can reach out to them at TM, stands for Treasury Management, TM_sales at gpbankok.net. You can call Janice. We can get you connected that way. You can call anybody at the branch. We all stay very, very well connected. So if you have a need, just reach out to any of us. We'll be glad to come. And a lot of times our teams come to your office. We sit down with your staff. And once you decide you do want to have some of these services, we'll hold your hand the whole way through and we'll support you long term. So we have a dedicated Treasury support team that's there for them from the day they start and from years to come. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, Tom. And now let's switch gears to our local community and what's going on and have some celebrations. There's been graduations and so many different things that are good, and we always want to focus on that as well. So this podcast, I'm actually celebrating and sharing with you 6 wonderful people that are making a difference in the lives of our future community members, leaders here in South Lake. Carroll ISD Board of Directors each month celebrates and awards 2 teachers and 1 staff member employee of the award of #Inspire Excellence. And so they bumped up the May board meeting because school was ending. So we are actually going to show you today and share with you 6, 3 for April and 3 for May. In April, we have teachers Nicole Anderson and Corey Aldrich. We also have employee Deborah Pritchard. In May, we have Ann Davis, Elementary Teacher of the Month, Ashley Chance, Secondary Teacher of the Month, and Arcely Alvarez, Employee of the Month. I recently was at the board meeting and got to celebrate some of these teachers and staff members, and just so excited and so proud of them for all the hard work that they're doing. And the management of Great Plains Bank celebrates each month with an award to those teachers and just thanking them for their contributions to our community. Today, also featuring our monthly scholarship to a deserving Carroll ISD senior, Jaden Mehta. I'm so excited for Jaden. He was in our branch recently and was awarded his check for his scholarship. So if you know an upcoming for the 24-25 school year senior, make sure you reach out to Great Plains Bank. Check us out online. Get them to submit their scholarship application so that they can be considered. Each month, we'll award $500 to the student that is selected. And so make sure you reach out and get in contact with us about that. Now, as we're about out of time, I do want to share a quick update on the branch. The lobby is open. It's beautiful. It's got a great coffee machine, and we really just love for you to come in and celebrate with us. We'll have a grand reopening of sorts in July when it's all finished. Phase 2 is under construction, so if you are a drive-through patron, please come around to the front, and we will come out to assist you if you need help. So this is Janice Spooner, your host of Banking on Success Together, and I appreciate you joining me each month. And until I see you next time, give kindness often. Stay in touch with your family members and your community. Help those in need. And really remember, we are greater together.